We live in a time where the flow of information is constant, with competing voices in crowded spaces, where old school thoughts meet new school ideas.
But in this modern age, we are constantly having to recreate ourselves. To understand these identities, we need to decipher the culture. This is unconventional. This is Lounge Academics.
Okay, and we're now live. Okay, greetings everyone. You're through to the Lounge Academics podcast. I am your host, KJ Brazant, the very first Lounge Academic. We are now live. If you're listening to us on our podcast, obviously you are here. Great to have you on board. Yeah, where have you been? What have you been up to? What's been going on? But anyway, really great to hear your voices, to have you on there, to hear my voice. It's been a long day. I'm tired. I've already got my words muddled. It's all good. Glad that you're present with us. I see our guest is already online as well. But if you're catching this up on the podcast, do catch up the follow-up in terms of our video that we're doing on the Instagram live feed. You can catch that up on our Instagram page, as well as tuning into all our other content via our YouTube channel, which is Lounge Academics, spelt with a K if you're tuning through. But also we are here, and I'm just really excited about this guest. Actually, I'm so excited because this young man, this brother, is a powerhouse of an actor. He's amazing, actually. But I'm not gonna steal his thunder. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, tell him a little bit more about who he is, what he's about, and what he does. And we're going to just start that off very soon. But for those of you that have just tuned in and you're just getting down with what we're doing, 5 minutes to disrupt. This is the opportunity for us to give our guests an opportunity to shine a spotlight on themselves, on their work and what they're doing, yeah? So without further ado, let me bring on Frankie, who's going to join us. Yeah, and we're going to go live. Last week it was such a madness, but hopefully this will be all good this week around, yeah? I'm just waiting for him to connect. And then we should be good to go. Yes. But yeah, how's everyone been anyway? How's your week been? What have you been up to? What have you been doing? How's the family? How's your friends? Has everyone been dealing with... Well, I keep saying, how's everyone dealing with lockdown? But we're kind of slightly coming out of lockdown, although I'm not really feeling how quick we've come out of it, given everybody must stay at home and be careful, you know? Okay, I'm reading your stuff, Frankie. I don't know what's happening. Are you connecting, Frankie? Why isn't this? Hold on. It's not for some reason. It was just messing about just now. All right. Frankie.
There we go. What's up, man?
What happened, bro?
Hey, listen, I thought I lost you for a second, man. I was Wilson!
I thought, what's going down? I'm there looking for you, bro. I could see you.
No, I didn't get. I got the little red thing. It says invitation expired. I was like, uh-oh. And then I mistyped. And the way you read it, it says like, I'm not here for any acceptance or any test. I was like, no. That was a typo, but we got there. You got there.
Good to see you, sir. It's brilliant to see you, man. Welcome. I'm glad to have you on live, man. You know, I feel like I know you already, you know, from seeing all your activities, seeing everything that you're doing. It's brilliant to have you here. There's so much to what you do, and there's so much about what you're about in terms of your being. But I'm sure this is going to be fleshed out as we talk a bit more. We're going to unpack some stuff about your own personal journey, your professional journey, and some of the things that you're getting involved in. But without further ado, as part of the 5 minutes to disrupt format, normally what we do is we give our guests like the first 5 minutes for them to kind of let people know who they are, to come into the room, let people know who they are, what they do. Because normally the emphasis is about you shaping the narrative, yeah? Shaping the narrative, shaping it all, and taking the platform. So over to you, sir, just to let people know who you are.
Man, how do you define X amount of years? I don't want to reveal how old I am in 5 minutes. All right, let's try to justify it. So I've been born in South Africa, raised by Malawian parents. I was born in a very tumultuous period, which is, for your generation, know something called apartheid. where it was just a lot of segregation. So what you're accustomed to civil rights is what we lived through my lifetime experience. But I've always had the beauty of comedy. And being a practiced Catholic, I then generally feel like God brought me into existence to bring a sense of happiness to people. Maybe not a sense of comedy, maybe not a sense, but I always felt in a sense of entertainment. So I always embedded that. So by the time I did move to the UK when I was about 12 or 13 years old, I wanted to push that. But then I didn't know how I wanted to push it. But the form came through stepping stones and through a beautiful guardian angel of my aunt who told me, Junior, whatever you want to achieve, go and make it happen through the performance. So I pursued a career with acting. But I didn't start off as an actor. I started off as a stand-up comedian.
Okay.
But that was never, but that was never my end goal. I never wanted to be a stand-up comedian because the art of that is amazing. Any credit to any comedians, they deserve credit. But I knew that I was a funny person, but I knew I didn't want to remain in stand-up. So I just wanted it to be kind of like the gateway. And that allowed me to kind of enhance into getting from Comedy Central, then onto the short films, onto the TV and cinemas and Netflix today. But then I always had this concept that I have a vivid memory of apartheid. And I always remembered where I came from.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things many of us, and like, don't get me wrong, there are times where I forget the ideology of my family and my blood, but that's in a momentary lapse. But in general, I always knew who I was, and I always felt like anytime I'm progressing, it means nothing if my people not progressing with me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I always had this concept. So yes, I was born in South Africa, but I'm more Malawian than anything else because my first language is Chichewa. I eat Malawian food. I go to Malawi every year, every 2 years.
Wow.
So I always had this concept, and I always believed that I was one of them people who was fortunate to get a second opportunity, and I used that second opportunity by allowing myself to remember that I'm one of the few kids who had a second opportunity. So anytime I do go back home, I always try to push and encourage the children because they may not have had the luck that I had, but then now I'm in a position to encourage them, which led me to open up my own children's charity for underprivileged kids. It's a non-profit organization. So it was always a thing where I didn't want to progress alone because success means nothing without your loved ones around.
Yeah.
Okay, so be it these kids are not my loved ones, but they're part of me, and I always progress with it. So anytime you did see me escalating with my career, there were individuals who were getting uplifted as well, which has allowed me to work with children literally all over the world. I've been fortunate to be in 44 countries in this current time of my life. And it allowed me to work with kids, ensure that I promote kids, encouraging them to the importance of education. Education in the Western world is kind of seen as a way of life, but in actuality, it's a privilege to be educated. And I try to enunciate that into kids' heads and say, we got to focus on education. And like I said, with so much has gone on in this year, it just allowed me to kind of uplift into being, I didn't intend to be a frontline of the whole Black Lives Matter, but it kind of happened. But it was something where I had a voice, I had a presence, I had the connects, my networking circle was insane. But to allow all these, and it doesn't mean nothing to have it by myself. We are all trying to build an empire. So I said, now's the time for us to build an empire, but we've got to lay down the foundation because we've been demolished for 500 plus 100 years. So demolishment has happened, but now we've got to lay down the foundation. But it doesn't happen without the success of your people and education of thyself.
Wow.
Yeah, so in the grand scheme, I don't know if that was 5 minutes or not, but I kind of broke the
I think, but it's important. It sets the tone, particularly from where you've come from and the trajectory to where you are now. And I've got to say, if you permit me to kind of go back a bit, because you're talking about the experience of apartheid apartheid. I mean, I can only start to imagine what that must have been like. So I guess for me, for the purposes of everyone who I guess here, although we are from the African diaspora and we're here in the Western world, we've had certain privileges, so to speak, in terms of our experience. Although we have experienced, obviously, racism, but I would think there's a next level to that. When we're talking South Africa apartheid, I think that would be a different level. But let me hear from you what that experience was like.
Okay. So yes, I was in the beast of it all, but I was there when the rise was coming. Let's put it that way, because put it this way, to know how fresh it was, I think my year in primary school, I think was probably the second or third year in the history of South Africa to be in an integration school.
Yeah.
That's how fresh this memory is. So when you see it, because I know a lot of people from Australia and a lot of people of segregation in Brazil and all of segregation in Asia and Africa, it's all around the world. But then it was very blunt because at the time we're naive as kids. We're naive to it. It's just for an example. When I went to Cape Town, I was born in Joburg, but when I went to Cape Town, you also got the island of where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned in Robben Island. I was the only one who was willing to really go there. I wanted to go. But all my family members who are older didn't want to because the memory is still a little bit fresh to them.
Because of that.
So I was still a youngin' at the time. So now looking back, I'm thinking, ooh, okay, now I understand why this teacher kind of hit me, because obviously caning was a thing over something that was similar to what another white kid said or Buru. So there's a few things, there was elements, but I will never give up my experience, because my experience was when the end of the reign has happened.
Yeah.
So if you speak to people,
but still, you would have felt
better understanding of.
Yeah. But I guess.
Yeah. Like I said, I felt it.
Yeah, the ripples of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I felt the ripples. Like I said, there's so many times where the signs were no more there, but your presence was not welcome.
Yeah.
You know, hearing. I don't want to get too deep into it, but like situations that were verbally and sometimes physically happened to family members that I saw. I don't want to paint this stream to be about that, but I acknowledge it. But like I said, when you're at that age, between 3 and 6 years old, you're kind of blissed to, you understand something's going on, but you don't really understand. So
So how in terms of, I kind of am picking up on the sense that comedy and acting, and this has been a creative outlet and a form to some extent of a bit of escapism kind of from that, as well as your desire to kind of act and to pursue that career. What was the journey from actually leaving from that experience to moving on to pursuing your acting? What was that kind of journey like, and what's that been like for you?
It was not as straightforward as I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought, I've done a bit of drama workworkshop. Okay, here we go. Oscars, let's go. It was a few stepping stones. I've been fortunate. I've done acting work in the US. I went to the US twice. I was there for Broadway, another time for a summer period. But there was many stepping stones to it. It wasn't necessarily a straightforward thing. I always loved the concept of making people laugh.
Yeah.
Literally from the get-go, I love to make people. But I have a full sense that I always knew at a young age everyone has a scenario or problem in their life. Everyone. But I thought that the beauty of comedy is, for a moment you forget about all your worries, and for a moment you acknowledge all your beautiful. For a moment, I'm bringing a sense of happiness, and I just love the power in that essence of comedy. So I always knew that I was going to pursue it in that concept. I just never knew how.
So what kind of steps did you take to pursue your comedy? So literally from Malawi, you're a child, you're growing up, you've come through school education. At which point was you like, okay, I'm going to pursue this? And what kind of physical steps did you take to get to? How did it start? For you?
So the defining point, I'll speak about it now. So it's kind of a long one, but I'll try and shorten it for you.
Yeah.
So when I was coming up, and I went to perform a drama workshop that was run by BAFTA Award winner Adam Deacon.
Yeah.
So I did a workshop with him, which was great. So I did a few extra work, but then I was kind of like, maybe I like doing this, but I wasn't too sure. So then as I was training up, I wanted to have my own identity, and I wanted to protect my family's name and image. So I said, I'm going to change my last name to a stage name. So,
okay.
Pseudonym, not many people think that Clarence is my last name, but it's not. But no one needs to know what it is. But it did begin to see. So I was changing. I used to be called Frank. I wanted to change my name to Frankie, because when you say the name Frankie, your face tends to lift, Frankie, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to uplift people. There's science to all of this. It's not accident. So then I wanted, because Frankie was 2 syllables, I wanted my stage name to be same letter beginning with C, but 2 syllables as well. So I had an aunt. She was actually the first one to believe in me. She told me, Junior, whatever you want to achieve, go out and make it happen. And this time I'm a teenager. You know, I'm too cool to listen to my elders. I'm like, whatever. I'm embarrassed in front of the family. And fortunately, that was the last time I'll see her. She unfortunately passed away a few days or a week after that.
Oh,
And then I
wow.
was just like, and that was like the first person I knew that had passed away. So that was the real
Yeah.
first one. I was like, whoa, death is real. Because when you're a kid, you're it's like, oh, okay, you know what death is, but you don't really know it until it physically happens to you. So then I was like, raw, okay, I need to actually start listening to my elders. I need to actually start pursuing being serious. And she told me she only had one kid. And she said if she ever had another kid, she'll name the kid Clarence. And funny enough, it just
Okay.
fitted 2 syllables, Frankie Clarence, began with the letter C, and it had meaning. So I kind of carry her journey through her name.
Okay.
So that was
that's
that was
kind
the
of
one.
paying homage to her, really.
Yeah.
No, respect for that, man. And I guess
Thank you.
we know the best of times, acting's not easy, right? Because
No.
many people, like you said, you paid homage and respect to comedians and people that do stand up and doing that. But I think the same amount of reverence and respect needs to go for those pursuing any career in the performing arts, particularly acting and stuff. What's been the kind of journey? What has been some of the challenges for you in kind of in navigating the acting world and getting spots and gigs and stuff?
I feel for myself personally, it's been so you haven't physically met me, and those who haven't seen me personally, I am of the height of 5'1". All right, and instantly when you're that high, everyone kind of dubs you as incapable of achieving.
Wow,
So I always had
I'm a
so
short man
many
too,
hurdles.
bro. I'm a couple inches taller than you still.
It's what it is. Now, the thing is, I was actually funny tweeting about this earlier today.
Yeah.
I don't see myself as a short person. It's crazy because I'm shorter than the average.
Yeah.
But because I always had this self-confidence and self-presence, and I was aware of who I was, and most importantly, I always loved who I was as a person.
Yeah.
Thank you to the person who said respect to my aunt. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I always had the hurdle is that, oh, Frankie, okay, but then does he fit the image? Oh, he's short. I don't know. It's like capability and ability doesn't come from the heightness. I'm not saying playing basketball. Even people who play basketball. I know there was that basketball player who was, I think, 5'2" or 5'3", and he was in the movie Space Jam. So there's the burden of fair enough. I'm in a white man's world. It's bad enough that I'm a black person, but it's even harder now because of my physical appearance. Because my physical appearance doesn't tell me that I'm capable of doing a Shakespearean speech, or doesn't give me it doesn't come that way. And it's just the hardship of having to constantly prove myself, even to the point socially, sometimes not too much socially, because like I said, I'm the center of attention in the right way when I'm in the room, because everyone knows, as Frankie said, I've got this beautiful presence about me.
Sure.
I may not be blessed with a Denzel or Trey Songz look, but I've definitely got the presence and the humor and the energy and the charismatic. So even though I was short and high, I constantly had to push myself. I know many gigs. Like I could have been on so many things, but they didn't take me on simply because of my height, which doesn't make any sense, because if the ability was there, isn't that what you're looking for? Maybe if you want the look, whatever that is, but then I don't see how you can justify someone just based on their physical appearance on that aspect, which they have no control over.
Totally. And how do you, there's a couple of things with this, because like I said, as you're speaking, you are, this is mirrored, because we've had a similar journey in terms of that height thing. Very much like yourself, I've often had to deal with the navigating people's projections, right, that they put onto you. You're too confident, you're too bright, you're smiling too hard, you're too funny, you can't be doing this. So there's these expectations, but I just wondered, not many people really understand that struggle. And this is something that I can speak to personally from my own experience. But I wondered for you, how do you, because it takes resilience to go into the acting world. There are certain depictions that are there of what people are seeing, as you said, based on the Western world and what it means to be acting and what actors look like or how they should look, right? But I just wanted to ask, what, in them moments of when you're dealing with that kind of blatant rejection, really, based on physical appearance, how do you navigate that?
Each for its own. I've kind of learned to, because I've been studying quite a bit during this lockdown. I've kind of had this concept, and I was watching this beautiful documentary with Tiger Woods. He was saying that no one's ever going to go 100% with success. virtually impossible. But the difference between a winner and a loser is when a winner loses, it's a lesson. But a loser lose, they thought that they've lost the game.
Yeah.
So it's not about it. So sometimes it's always keeping, especially in that trajectory and navigation. Sometimes when they say no, when they're auditioning you, it doesn't mean it's a full stop. Because there's been times where I got a no for a production, and literally 3 years later, they email me, say, hey, we remember you auditioned this, we got something for you, which coincidentally, it was actually better than the thing that I originally went for. So it's always about leaving. I'm not saying for everyone to always be your best friend, but at least don't allow the bridge to be burned, or just keep things mutually respectful. And that's not just with acting, that's with anything. Because one day or another, we may need someone who has got the ability to help you get through that bridge. But if you burn that bridge, and if you allow rejection to really consume you, then you're just kind of killing yourself than anything else, because sometimes rejection is actually a blessing in disguise. It's not a mistake that God put me in this position.
Yeah.
No mistake that God put you in this position or anyone watching.
Yeah.
God didn't put no mistake in anything that the Spirit did, but it's allowing us to go through that level next. He's given us the tools. It's now us to believe in his work to go to the next level. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Real talk. And I guess from that experience that you're having, like you said, that takes a paradigm shift, though, I take it. Because, like you said, you alluded to doing a lot of work. And I guess working on yourself, kind of thinking about, who you are. And like I said, there's a strong sense of who you are. But I think normally where you're at, I don't think many people reach that point of the journey because they're so defeated by what they see. Like I saw, just to bring you to task on this, I saw an Instagram post that you did some time back where you were talking about, you were basically cross-examining and examining the influencer, this concept of the influencer, and what is happening on the ground. You see, you're smiling, and you know what I'm talking about, because there is this thing around this false sense of reality, this unattainable beauty, this thing of projecting this certain lifestyle, a certain look, and we know how much people's well-being is affected by social media, particularly Instagram. Whenever I scroll through, all I'm seeing is cleavage and women with hair and whatever and this and makeup. That's all I ever see. Or if it ain't that, it's a brother that's got his chest carved out of stone. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever. So I guess what I'm alluding to is it's great that you're doing that, but I think there's a lot of people that are struggling with that journey, as part of that process.
Yeah, because they don't have an ideology or idea of who they are.
Yeah.
And when you don't know who you are, you kind of tell another person just so they can tell you, so you can kind of hear it from someone else. And we kind of get approval of others. When in actuality, we only need approval of ourselves.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of looking for attention or just to be appreciated.
Yeah.
And there's many concepts of it, because it's like the evil genius of what these productions and these entities are doing, because they know that there is a specific trigger in dopamine that we get when we get a sense of response. So, i.e., likes or comments or whatever.
Yeah, it's proven,
yeah. And when you get that, you kind of like that dopamine that it brings you, that you seek for it even more. So you feel like this is going to give you a sense of happiness. But in actuality, when you do something that's against your morals, because I know so many of us individuals, and myself in the past as well, we do things that are against our morals and our values to feel that will make us happier, but in actuality, it doesn't. And what it does to us is the records show. That's why the statistics now shows there's overdose, high numbers on overdose of drugs, high number on alcoholism, suicide, high number of mental health.
Yeah.
These are all personally struck there. And what it actually does, it's not really benefiting anybody. And when you get that, you get a lot of people who say, I'm sad, I'm ill. But they don't say that. Because how many times do you ask someone, hi, how are you doing? I'm fine. Literally all the time they say I'm fine. You ask someone, I've been fortunate. Unfortunately, I've not been to a funeral as of yet. But you go to a funeral, you ask to the widow or whoever, say, how you doing? Says, oh, Dory, I'm fine. It's an emotion to be angry. It's an emotion to be sad. But we become so subhuman that having emotions now a weird thing. And that's kind of the concept of what social media kind of brings to you.
Yeah, definitely.
I know individuals who get 2,000 likes and say, oh, I've got 2,000 likes. Yeah, but then how are you really feeling? And it says that I'm feeling kind of lonely. Most of the people who have the highest numbers on here are not necessarily happy people. But then we all seek for it, especially in black cultures as well. Black cultures is kind of engineered that if you don't have, you're less than. So we've been engineered so much that environment allows us to, if we have material belongings, that means we're a success or we're good, but it actually materialism
There's
is
an
not
emphasis
really, shouldn't be a reason.
definitely, on what you have as opposed to your character or qualities that you possess of
Definitely.
being.
If you just look at the previous, in the previous century, Harriet Tubman, she wasn't a rich person. Malcolm X, no one knows what he drove. Not even black people. You look at Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Malcolm, Dr. King. So I can give you a whole heap of names of people that fought and sacrificed their life just for us to talk foolishness here, and they were not rich people. So it goes to show that how can we idolize someone saying, oh, Malcolm X, but then here I am drinking, here I'm spanking women's bums and all that. If you want to represent and live a person's life, you need to live the life that they were wishing, not use their name in vain. Similar like you can't use the Lord's name in vain. Similar, these people don't use the name in vain and expect to be treated with respect when you can't even respect the name you're worshiping.
Definitely. So what has been the real success stories? What have been the real achievements for you so far to date that you're really proud of in terms of your pursuit of the acting? In the role as a professional actor.
As an acting wise, okay, acting. I feel one thing I've got to give a massive shout out to Coach Nim. Coach is a comedian. He's done a real job. So I'll probably say my most recognized work was the Weekend movie, which is still on Amazon and Netflix. And I thought I give recognized it because he made a comedy film, and which is great to say. But I'm not funny in that whatsoever. That was what shocked a lot of people. When I told a lot of people on the comedy film, I bet you're hilarious. I'm not. I don't want to ruin the narrative for people. But basically, the film is basically three guys come across a bag of money, and they spend the money being teenagers, but they find out the money belongs to a mafia person. Okay. And later on, we find out the mafia is myself. And I'm not hilarious in that whatsoever. I'm straight at these guys have taken my money and they've used it. And I want to acknowledge to Kojo for acknowledging and seeing that I'm more than just a funny man. I am an actor who's trained to be an actor who so happens to be funny. So I thought that was my greatest achievement because I was able to portray a movie as the main antagonist, the main villain. It would have been different if I was the side man or the side villain, but the actual main villain, and to portray it and seen worldwide, I thought that was a massive... So your
acting skill was really recognized there as a...
Yeah. Because prior to that, I did, as someone just mentioned, I did the TV show called The Mackenzies, which was a family sitcom. That's obviously what I did. I've done things with Comedy Central. I've done so many comedy things. So naturally, you get pigeonholed into thinking this guy's just one specific color. But then later on, I show people, no, I am able to do a US accent. No, I am able to play a young prince. No, I am able to play a villain. So these are just many things.
Sorry, Frank, to interrupt.
No, that's cool.
But I'm really interested to learn more about that because that is a concern that I've often heard other people highlight about being typecasted effectively. Once you do one particular role, you kind of just live throughout that kind of role, or you play that similar role in different films. How are you able to? Has that been a challenge for you, or how have you navigated that yet again? Have you, as people try to typecast you into certain roles, given that you're that comedy guy, and how have you negotiated and worked through that?
So yes, okay. So in my perspective, I may be wrong, my agent may be wrong or telling me otherwise, but I thought I haven't been typecasted as yet. Maybe I am wrong. Bear in mind, you need to remember, so The Weeknd was just one of the few films that I have done that were on Netflix, but just the one that I appreciate and the one that be most recognized. I think it was the year after, so 2018 or 17, I was a little bit quiet in the scene, solely because I was getting asked to do things that were not in my nature. And basically, it would not, in terms of longevity, it would not have done my career any good.
Sorry, Frank, what kind of things? What were they doing that was going against you?
So basically, they want to be doing some humiliating things that would have been shameful to the black culture. Just it's very Uncle Tom kind of thing, or another thing that I play a stupid, geeky kid that was a nerd. Nothing wrong with that role, but you don't go from being a main villain in a movie to the next scene you're doing as basically the laughing stock.
Sure.
It doesn't show progression. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I could have taken it, and the funds that it gave it to me, it was good, but it wasn't enough for people to think that I'm a bit of a pleb, or to think that, and then people would just say, okay, bam, that was just a one-off, he's just only this. So it's about, sometimes you got to say no, and I understand many actors, they're so desperate for work, they say yes to anything, and before you know it, they're like, oh, I can't get work. It's because you shot yourself in the foot doing foolishness for short-term gain. But if you actually paint the picture and look at longevity, you'll know that actually you can have progression as an actor if you study the game, if you study yourself, and you study where you want to go. Know your end goal. Know your end goal. I know people say, my end goal is to be in sci-fi movies, but I'm going to act a plem and do something that's completely the opposite way. So you need to realize where you are as an actor, and then when you do, you can make the road a bit smoother. But yeah, I've had turbulence, but I've not allowed myself to be typecasted as yet.
Okay.
Yes, there's certain people that would like me to see certain roles, but sometimes I'm saying no to them not because it's them or the finance, it's just simply because it's not the direction I want to go.
Okay.
Which, if they really understand, they'll respect you for that, and they will not burn the bridge. Like I said earlier, you don't burn the bridge.
Yeah.
They respect that. You're being honest and you respect it. So never burn no bridge is what I always say. But yeah.
I mean, I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine in the UK, this is just my assumptions here based on conversations I've had with other people as well, I would imagine that being a black person, being in the UK, there are not many prevalent mainstream programs with black folk in them, right? Mm-hmm. So I would assume that we are somewhat limited in the roles that we can kind of take on. Or that there's few options. That's an assumption I'm making based on hearing from everyone else. So,
in your opinion, why do you think that is?
What? Pardon?
In your opinion, why do you think that is?
Well, I think that's largely to do with obviously the systemic racism that we face in society. I think that's it at the core of it, in my opinion. So that means to me, the only things that then become available are those stereotypical and limiting roles. So I guess then when you consider someone like you that values yourself, there's certain things that you won't take. I would imagine those options get even smaller. Do you get what I mean? So I just wondered, how does that, anybody that's listening or watching in as you're out there doing your thing, because I know you've been on Netflix, I know you've done your thing with the National Theatre, I know there's been levels of success, but people that are particularly black people that are looking to enter this arena to come and do their acting thing and become a professional actor, what tips would you be saying to them? What would you be giving them, given your interests and given your passions for your personal values as well, in not selling yourself short? What would you be saying to people?
So we're in a beautiful, beautiful period where we can create our own content. Right?
Yeah.
I could only imagine decades before I came, ordering a camera, must have costed you thousands. Now you just need to go Argos. You can get a really good camera, just get it for, you don't have to pay straight away. You can pay it in installments now. But this is the thing, like when you say the opportunities are not there, it's because it is structurally designed. A prime, beautiful example is I did a pilot for a show. It was a black family show. Not Mackenzie, it was something else. It was going to be on national television, but they didn't do no marketing. They did no promoting. That was the first down call. But then they said that, okay, so it kind of, this gives us a illusion. This is how the illusion they gave you. They opened the door for you. They opened the doors for you. They say, okay, here's the furniture. It hasn't been moved in 40, 50 years. We want you to make changes, but we don't want you to move the furniture. It kind of structures you to inevitably fail. And I remember being on set, seeing some of these execs here trying to make last-minute decisions, which just didn't make any more sense. I'm like, in my head, I didn't say it out loud, but I was saying, this is inevitably going to not be a success. And we were going at a time where they screened us. Bear in mind, they didn't know advertisement. They screened us. It was at the same time as EastEnders and the Champions League football. We're going on heavyweights here. And no one knows about the show already. And then when it did fail, they're like, you see, this is why we don't give you guys a chance.
So
and
they
it's
set
just
you up
ticking
to
that
fail.
box for their own, self-conscious. So in answer to your question, how can you progress from that? It's simply creating your own platform. Like I said, no one is expecting your first kind of work to be amazing. That's the beauty of journey. I thought, because I'm a millennial and I can handily respect that my generation are very entitled. They have this illusion that once I finish school,
Insta
you'll get laughing because you're like, I know what you yeah, they have this entitlement that once I finish school, I should be in your 100K straight a year. They don't want to appreciate or want to do the journey. Actually, sometimes the journey defines you more than the actual title that you get at the end.
Yeah.
And I feel, yes, there's going to be a lot of, my advice to them, there's going to be a lot of rejections. But a beautiful African proverb that says that in order to have a rainbow, you need to have rain first.
Indeed.
You got to weather that rain. And when you weather that rain, you get accustomed to how to condition yourself to this weather. And then when you know how to condition yourself, as in you know how to position yourself in your acting career, you understand, okay, this is when I can time it for when the weather does come to an end. So you time your productions to pilot season, or you time your production to when casting directors are looking. You time it so when you do get that rainbow, your rainbow has come because you've allowed the foundation and the platform to come and that journey to succeed. Because, like I said before, the journey defines you, not where you end up in the goal.
So there's
you don't
really
wake up
something
overnight.
here really about resilience, remaining committed, sticking to the journey, sticking to the path, dealing with the rain, weathering the storm as you go along, but not losing sight of that goal is what I'm hearing quite strongly. I know I'm paraphrasing here, but that's what I'm
but it's true. Like, consistency is key. Yes, there are stories of overnight success. And to be honest, let's say I do bridge that gap, that's my aim, to bridge that gap for Hollywood. When I do get Hollywood, they'll probably see, this Frankie is an overnight success. But I've been doing this for the last 10 years now.
Real talk.
For a minute. And there's been other individuals who are now there. Now, prime example, if I said to name, I'm not going to ask you to name, but if you'd ask the name of the 5 best actors in the world, probably 5 of them are all over the age of 40. Or maybe even reaching 50 now.
It's true. Yeah.
Exactly, because the journey is a really long journey. It's similar like if you're doing a 9 to 5. If you want to be a CEO, you're not going to be a CEO at 23 years old. You're not going to be a CEO at 28. You're going to probably be there when you are the 40 or 50-year-old. And the same with acting. Your progression is not going to come overnight, but you need to be with anything, really. If you just keep practicing and keep consistency, you will get there. It may not be as quick as you want. Believe me, I thought it would be much quicker when I started. But then here we are, still going, still striving, and we just got to keep pushing we all have beautiful dreams, but dreams don't happen when you're sleeping. Dreams happen when you work on them. Real talk. Step out your door.
Action, man. So tell me, how did you jump on? I saw you had a little exchange with Idris, with Mr. Idris Elba. How did that come about then? Yeah. How did that? Tell me about that.
Man, that was a very, very interesting period because so this was time flies. I think over a month or 2 months ago. So Idris Elba was doing basically giving advice to actors, right? Okay. And just basically giving tips and everything. Just kind of giving people the gist of how to perform as an actor. So he invited me on. I was not even ready. So basically, I had the hair cap on. I was just laying in my bed, dry mouth there, man. I was looking at slip. And you know when you get that load, it says you're about to go on. I was like, with my bloodshot eyes, I was moving. I was like,
Idris,
trying to say Wusa with it. So we started discussing, and as I said before the beginning of the show, I've been blessed with this charming charisma approach that I love to use to lift people up. Sure. And he saw that many of the people that come to him, they go to him looking for him to comfort them. But I knew that I came to him and he was comforted by my presence. It was the other way around. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to comfort him, make him relax. He said he likes what he's buying. He can see in my eyes that I'm something about me. So he said, do a monologue for me. I was like, yeah. And then I looked in the corner. I saw 5,000 people watching.
So what? This was on the live. He's asking you to do a monologue. Yeah.
It was on live, literally like how we are now. With over 5,000.
Yeah.
And then literally, whilst this was going on, my phone is binging because I didn't prepare myself to put everything on silent. My phone is going. I had a friend from Tunisia saying, "Hey, Frankie, I was in the middle of Tunisia and I saw you were with Idris." I was like, hey. He said, "Do a monologue." I was like, man. So I did my thing. What I like to do with people who I want to remember me, I don't give them with anything. Like Malcolm X once quoted, I paraphrase a little bit, but the best way to educate people is not giving them complete answers, but it's to give them the seed. Yeah. So when they do remember and when they do find the answers themselves, the remembers for them long lasting. Because if I can give you information I say, this like 2 + 2 = 4. You're like, whatever. But I say, let me know what 2 + 2 is. And then when you go home, you think about it, it starts subconsciously remains in your head. Yeah. So when you do realize it always remains in your head.
Yeah.
So I kind of always had that embedded in me. So when I did the scene, I never gave him a complete scene. I just gave him a dose that he wanted more. I still got the full video on my gallery somewhere. The one on Instagram is only like the last bit.
Sure.
I gave him, he was like, oh, Frankie, I want to see more. And everyone's saying, oh, they want to see more. I was like, you're falling into my trick. See, I'm doing like soap, man. Just give me a little bit of seasoning.
That's right, give them a
taste
little bit, and then they want
That's
more.
What it is. Yeah, exactly. So I did my thing, and he loved it. He said, I see it, but I wanted more. And they said, then we remained in contact by Twitter, so I'm still in contact with him. But just what came from that, just a recognition, I got, then Tandy Newton started following me. I don't even know how she ended up finding me.
Yeah.
Tandy Newton followed me, and then obviously John Boyega came along, and then all these other people started coming. I was like, wow, this social media, this internet thing's quick. But the Idris Elba, he kind of already knew of who Frankie is through mutual friends.
Yeah.
But what was the key is when I came to his face-to-face, I didn't go, oh my gosh, Idris. I said, Idris, I came to him like, I'm here and I'm about this life. So I came with him in a different angle that he would not be accustomed to, but with leaving him a lasting impression of me. So yeah.
No, of course, definitely. And obviously you said that kind of went into that kind of merge pass with John Boyega. Is that how you then, because I've seen a lot of your images that was up there with obviously John Boyega as part of the Black Lives Matters movement. So was that something that naturally kind of organically grew as a result of that Idris interview?
So the interesting, Yaz just said it was a great moment, a blur. It was like literally the next 2 days for Idris Elba, it was a blur. I did not know what year I was in.
She's asking.
I didn't get starstruck, but I was just like, wow, I really held my ground in front of 5,000 people.
Yeah. And
in front of one of the best actors in the world. So yeah, it was a bit of a blur, and I got so many messages of saying I did him proud. But with John Boyega, I had no idea, but he already knew who I was. I didn't even know that. And so I was helping with the Black Lives Matter. I was helping with the protest of it at the start of it. And so put it this way, we were only expecting on the first one, probably about 2,000 people, but it ended up being 20,000 people. Like, I remember I was standing in one place, I just saw thousands, hundreds. It just never ending. And it just got madder and madder. And then, so people were getting a little bit impatient because first of all, people were a little bit aggressive or people were angry about the situation. And I knew that a few celebs were going to be there, but I never knew who was. Later on, I found out that so many. Madonna was there, One Direction, Sam Smith, all that. But then it just got commotion. But then as I went back to the front, I saw there was like a buzz going on. It wasn't like a buzz like something bad is happening, just like a positive energy.
Yeah.
And then I went to the front. I wasn't thinking, as when you're preparing or organizing things, you're always thinking of the worst case scenario. So I was there with my business, like, what's going on? So I went there. Then I bumped into his sister, and he was like, oh. So she pointed, like, she kind of knew who I was, but I didn't have time to comprehend who it was. I didn't even know it was his sister.
Yeah.
And then I bumped into it was John. And he said, oh, Frankie. I was like,
you was like, yeah, man.
He was like, yeah, it's Frankie. He said, oh, what's going on? They was like,
you want a signature,
John.
yeah?
He said,
that's how you
I like John Boyega, man like John Boyega. So I felt like when he was there, I felt like he wasn't there just for the number. I thought he wanted to kind of leave him like a lasting memory or just basically speak. But he was hesitant to it. Then I basically said, I was like, bro, do it. Literally, the world is watching and do it. So now this is the thing. He spoke, but I didn't. So basically how it was, so he had a microphone.
Yeah.
Because there was so many people, it didn't read projectile. So speaker. So I had a mic. Yeah. So I put it up. I thought Homeboy was going to only speak for like 2 minutes. He went on for a good, nothing wrong with it, but like 8-9 minutes.
Seriously, your arm must have been dead, bro. Raw.
Now, if you look at the pictures,
it's a powerful image, though. It's a
powerful image.
Yeah,
it's a very powerful image. So many individuals. I don't know if you've seen that people have done artwork over it. And people have sent me canvases. I was like, wow. But then in my face, I was feeling what he was saying. But in my head, I was like, my arm's getting tired. But obviously, I can't put it down because literally the whole world's watching it. So I'm like there, like Statue of Liberty, just holding it up. But then he kind of spoke, and it was such a potent, beautiful speech because it wasn't aggressive. It wasn't sympathetic. It just merged so well, and He just broke down in tears, and then everyone was feeling the power. It kind of uplifted everyone because people were getting impatient. Because bear in mind, we weren't expecting so many people, so naturally we became disorganized. It just kind of worked beautifully,
but
and it just
is that sorry, Frankie? Is that the same speech when he said where he talked about he didn't know that he was going to have a job after this?
It was the same speech. It was the same speech.
Yeah,
it was the same speech. So the thing is, I did not think that will go worldwide. Like honestly, like really, really worldwide.
Yeah,
now I'm
man,
talking.
viral,
No, I'm not talking viral for social media. I'm talking literally news programs.
A lot of people
artwork.
covered
And
that.
there's been some even things are funny. Like one of the artists, I really love it. With me holding the mic, they did a cartoon version of him in Star Wars, but he changed me into Chewbacca. I was Chewbacca in that. I found that hilarious.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, you should sue them." I was like, "Man, it's powerful." Then I was thinking, actually, maybe Disney gonna give me a little bit of money for this. I was like, man, let me make a few phone calls.
You know? Trust me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So So it was the same one. But yeah, that was just fortunate that I bumped into him. I didn't had no realization that he knew where I was. And yeah, since then we exchanged contacts and we're still in contact now. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Man.
So,
and that all came off of the back, like you said, from the Idris kind of live stream thing. Even though he knew of you anyway. Even though he knew of you.
Yeah. So I don't think John knew me from the interesting. But he knew me because we're the same age group.
Yeah.
Right. And we started at the same time. Our mutual circle, we've got mutual friends. But our mutual circle circle is quite small, so we know of each other. But now we know each other.
Sure.
So I ended up doing stuff with CNN and I ended up doing things with MPs and everything in the last few weeks. And I plan to do more work with MPs, with people who I would like to network with.
Definitely.
But that came through the interesting. So it was a domino effect. So that's the thing. That's what kind of going back to, like I said earlier, you kind of always need to have these plot and stones. Don't expect to swim when you don't even know how to dive in the pool yet. Kind of lay these bricks off and then it'll come through.
But it sounds a lot of this is organic as well, and it's the seeds that you sow with people. And to some extent, like I was talking to Yaz the other day about this actually, who's commenting here. We often talk about, whether good or bad, whatever seeds you come, they're gonna grow. And they'll come and meet you at some point along the journey, right? And that's for good or bad. You sow something negative, you sow something bad, you reap what you sow, as they say. But at the same time, I think if you sow certain seeds, it would be very helpful and can prove beneficial to you in the future, And I think there's something really good about that. What's happening? You're getting rid of me. Frank, you tried dashing me already. You pushed us to start earlier. Now you're trying to cut us off.
You're talking too much, man. Me when I go, I'm just...
But I hear what you're saying, man. It's really it's powerful stuff, man. And I guess
so naturally. Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna ask you, what's the future? So we've kind of spoken about, the trajectory, the journey, who you've kind of met along the way, the bumps, the challenges, the kind of highs, the rewards, the achievements. What's for Frankie right now? What if you're speaking into your future and proclaiming and claiming what's to come? What is to come for the future for you, sir?
Okay. So I'll answer the question, but building up to your first part of your question, it has been organic, and some of the viewers who are watching this may say I've got a little bit lucky. Yeah, it's true, but that's probably 10% luck. Everything has been put into fruition for me to be in this position. There's so many individuals who need that luck, literally need that luck. Same with Will Smith. He was lucky enough to bump into Quincy, and then that led to Fresh Prince. There's so many individuals, but you cannot create your luck. You can now with the internet, but you can't necessarily create luck if you're just stuck at your home. You need to put that shift in.
Yeah.
And what that led is pushing the shift in. So I was due to create my own series and short films, but that was prior to lockdown. So the long goal, so what the aspirations was simply, I'm just trying to create content now that shows myself in a more diverse light.
Sure.
So I don't want to give too much information because I am speaking with the right people.
Sure.
But there are stuff like there's now projects that want me to portray myself as a single parent dad.
Okay, cool.
That's something we don't hear. We always hear single parent moms.
Yeah.
but
But
then
not dads, yeah.
they are generally
It's
a
topic
lot
I'm
of
very
single
passionate
parent dads.
about as well.
Yeah. And they didn't remember many dads. Okay, I don't want to compare, but many dads are a little bit more lost as a single parent than a single parent mum because they don't have that. Credit to women. Women are the key to all of our success, and I always respect women. But they have this nonsense, not nonsense. They have this essence. They have this
Freudian
essence
slip
of
there.
the typo there verbally. They have this essence of capability of achieving anything. So, like I said, I'm a Catholic, and I genuinely believe God put His best traits in a woman because He knows a woman is capable of achieving anything thrown at her, and that's why a woman is always said. And vice versa with men, we kind of have this struggle, but our ego doesn't allow us to admit it. So, something like that to talk about single parent dads.
That's powerful, man.
Naturally, it's very powerful because to some degrees, men don't tend to, and I'm really quoting this, some men don't have voices in that department.
No.
Men have many voices, but in that department, they kind of sometimes feel alone in that. And this is based on true stories, what this is going to be about.
Very much so. Speaking as one myself,
I've come across so many stats that are really sad for men because, like, I think it was 85% of court cases always leads to the woman having the child in full custody.
Wow.
Even though the woman is shown to have alcohol abuse, a disability, or drug overdose, always favors, not always, mostly favors the wife. And there generally are great men who want to be there for the kids, but then because of the resentment of the wife or the former wife, they don't get a chance, and then the kid goes up with their father. So
I'm aware, Frankie. Also, I think Yaz posed the question to you, and I'm aware that we've got a few minutes left. But there's a question that Yaz had posed. So I've got you, Yaz. I'm going to put this to Frankie because he was talking. I don't think we saw it, but I caught it. She wants to know, Yaz wants to know, what's been the most embarrassing moment for you in terms of your acting journey? Has there been anything that's been totally embarrassing? And what has it been as part of the acting journey? Oh, here we go.
Okay, I'm going to say, naturally, Yasmin, follow me. I'll follow you back. I don't know if I follow you already. I'll tell you otherwise. But what I can say to camera and PG for the families watching at home, I feel there was one scene that I did during my Comedy Central days. We kind of worked at Best in Disguise, but what it was basically, I was in a room, like there was about 40 people there.
Yeah.
But a scene that happened, which ended up being on TV, is when I fell over in front of the whole crowd with a drink, and I was wearing white. It was red. It was Dr. Pepper. I was wearing a white shirt. Tripped over, caught it on camera, splashed all over my shirt.
So wait, hold. Did you act? This wasn't intentional? That
wasn't intentional.
Damn.
Literally wasn't intentional. I was not even. The thing is, it wasn't even my dialogue. But then it ended up being in the scene, and it ended up being because it was naturally funny, which was the scene was meant to be funny, but it wasn't meant to be funny because of that. So that was an embarrassing thing that I could say that I got to fall over in front of the world, and it wasn't part of the plan. But hey, at least I gave the laundry and caution people something to wash.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, man. I'm glad that we got that, And I guess as we're drawing to kind of like towards winding down towards the end of this, man, I just want to say a massive thank you, man, for taking your time out to kind of join us and be with us on here, because I think I come across a lot of young folk, I come across a lot of people that are still aspiring to kind of enter the media, to become actors, to become actresses, to pursue all aspects of performing arts and the creative field, whether in front or behind the lens. And I get there's a lot of difficulty and challenges there. Speaking as one who, this is where I started, when I did my degree, I myself was pursuing that whole acting thing and documentary and filmmaking and all of that. And I feel, different time zones, different periods, we've been affected by different challenges. But I think this is definitely a period where people can create their content and the world can come and check out what you're doing. We have a lot of things that are at our disposal now that we could use that can help us kind of move there. So some of the barriers that other people may have faced may not necessarily be as strong now. But there are some pertinent issues like racism, various other issues, stereotyping that exists. I guess as your final comments and thoughts, If there's anything that you want to leave as a final thought for someone or anyone that's looking to pursue or follow in your kind of steps, what would that be in terms of those? What advice would you give as final thoughts?
Study thy craft.
Study thy craft, yeah?
Yeah, study thy craft, because we are never going to know enough. I could be 9 months old, I could be 9 years old, I could be 99. But the element of always learning it kind of allowed this concept of normalized. It made that learning is uncool. Learning is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I hear you.
An African proverb says, now the thing is, one way doesn't mean it's always the right way. I'll answer your question, but like I say, all the way I've answered, many individuals may not feel like they've taken anything away from it, but believe me, when it sinks in, you will. For example, what you say about the racism, how do you overcome that? I'll answer that with leading into the acting thing. Prime example, if you look what Martin Luther King was all about, peace. Mm-hmm. They assassinated him. Marcus Garvey said we all go back to Africa. They assassinated him. Toussaint, the guy who revolutionized the slave trade and killed off slavery from Haiti, they killed him. Malcolm X would say, let's be radical. They killed him. All of these things, kind of like religion. There's an African proverb that says that you can have lakes, you can have rivers, you can have streams, you can have canals. All different. The lake can be Christianity, the streams can be Judaism, the canals can be Muslim, but all of them, they all lead to the one God and the one great ocean sea.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say with that, when you have just one spectrum, you're not thinking that it would be beneficial if I contribute with the other. Prime example being, if all these great people that were assassinated, you ask, what is the way then? One way doesn't mean another way. Maybe if we take elements of Dr. King,
sure.
Maybe we take elements of Gandhi, maybe we take elements of Malcolm X, we can all mold together and move forward. Because history has shown, when you're united, progress does come.
Yeah.
So you need to unite yourself. And that leads to another African proverb that says, we were created with 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we need to listen more and talk less.
Less, yeah.
So when I say craft yourself, you need to listen to what your real aspiration is. Listen to what you want the story to be told. Listen to the heart, because the heart speaks beautifully. But what's so subconsciously with technology, with the artificial things, with drinking. But if you just clear your mind, you understand your craft. Because I can't say what your advice could be, what my advice could be, because what your intentions may make me completely different. My intentions are for film, but you may want to be in theater. So it's just stuff like that. So I can't give opinion. All I'll say is opinion are only facts. So you need to find that facts about yourself, because yourself is what really is truly going to define your happiness. No one can give you happiness apart from yourself. Really, that's why you need to craft yourself.
Hold up that mirror. Introspection. Look into self. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Face yourself and what your true intentions are. What you're and only you could really truly answer that for yourself. Because as you said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I can give you doses, like I
hear you.
School or whatever.
I hear you. But I think
like,
it's a Kung Fu Panda moment, bruv. This is a Kung Fu Panda moment. The first,
definitely.
If you see a man, he goes in pursuit of this big scroll that's going to change and make all this, and the man took it down, and all it was a reflection of himself. When he took down the scroll, it was just him looking at it, and he goes, "I get it. It's about me." Do you understand? So no, real talk, man. Respect for that, Frankie. Yes, sir, Mr. Clarence. You know, but look, man.
I just want to show the people I'm not just a funny man. I could drop up 2 bars.
No, man, there's two, there's 3-4 bars there, man. There was 5-6. That was a mic drop moment, man. But I just want to say, Frankie, thank you for your time. Respect for that, man. And look, man, all the best for your journey, what you're doing. I'm expecting big things. I'm expecting to be a part of that journey to see how these things progress. Even Yaz is just saying she just loves this message. So big up, Yaz. Big up to those that were tuning in. Obviously, if you're connecting and watching us now, no doubt you can catch up with Frankie. You're most we can see this now anyway. So you should be following him anyway if you already aren't doing so. But been really great. And yeah, I'm just been grateful for this whole podcast link up conversation because it's important. I feel it'll be good, man. When we move out of this COVID lockdown thing, I want to kind of see, I think you would be dropping some great pearls of wisdom and knowledge to people in the physical meet-up sense, if you get what I'm saying.
Yes,
I think more people need to hear this message. And
yeah, that's what I'm currently doing. So I'm currently, so I did a few of my videos on
Frankie?
what.
We're going to get cut off, bruv. We've got 30 seconds.
Okay, no problem. No, man. No problem.
But no, bruv, we've got to do a part 2. But thank you for this.
Whenever you're ready, man. Lockdown's got me
bruv,
incarcerated.
Of course, you got too much knowledge. That's the problem. Too much to share. No, thank you. God bless you, bruv. And thank you for
May
this,
the Lord
man.
be with you in your journey, man.
Totally.
Peace, love, and
thank
happiness.
you, man. Speak soon, yeah?
No.
Take care, bro.
Peace.